my dome. Concrete walls, yeah, it's my home. Stockpile stacked with rations tight. Prep for the dark, we'll light the fight. Forage the woods, take what I need. Off-grid living, no time for greed. Barter goods in the shadow shade. Tactical steps in plans I've laid. Back to the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall. Prepared for the fall. Yeah, prepared for it all. Generators hum, a comforting sound. Blackout nights when chaos surrounds. Seeds in jars, yeah, we're growing life. Homesteading strong in a time of strife. No high-tech wires, no web to roam. Resilience beats the world unknown. Hands in the soil, hearts in the fight. Staying ready every day, every night. Back to the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall. Prepare for the fall. Yeah, prepare for it all. Back through the bunker where the truth won't bend. Water and food where the road might end. Bug out bags by the door, stand tall. Prepare for the fall. Yeah, prepare for it all. Prepare for it all. When central power rules the game, when thoughts controlling freedom's name, when the governed lose to government might, tell me who's got the wrong kind of right.
Okay, guys, looks like we're here. If somebody give me a sound check 5x5, be greatly appreciated. Sorry about some of the little quirks here. I'm still working with this new software. It's good stuff so far. Only got a few things to complain about with it, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see here. If we're going to the chat, and we're going to the chat on this great Sunday evening, kind of close up the week, talk about a few things a little bit, slightly not apocalyptic, but economic collapsey. We got Pilgrim first. Alrighty then. Number 2, and Rose, you are deterred. We got Bradley Collins. We got Mike. And we got Ian's in the house. We got your PAEMT. Catitude is here. Hello, young lady. Who else we got here? We got Rose in the house. Cuck V. And I think that's it that are actually there. It says there's 15 people in here. That's perfect. That's perfect. Anybody else wants to join in? That is just great. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know what guests are going to show up. They've they didn't back out. They just couldn't show up. So if somebody does pop in here, they do have the links. They know how to find this place, and we'll drop them right in here. With that said, I'm going to need to take care of the weekend stuff. I'm only drinking 3 days a week now. So that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing, right? Okay. So with that said, quick shout out to everybody out there. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. Monday, we get to start this crazy train all over Again, for those of you that gave me a 5x5 and loud and clear, I appreciate you. Looks like Annie showed up. Excellent, excellent. Rose says, if you say so. It is what it is. And the thing is I'm not really a heavy drinker, guys. It's the weekend. It's kind of a weekend thing. So with all of that said, Sean Pota, good evening, everyone checking in from Northern Illinois. It's good to see you, Sean. Don't recognize you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, buddy. All right, and you haven't missed anything, so we are good to go. What was it? Day before yesterday, we gave away the Retevis radio. Nothing today, guys. So if you're here for that, sorry. Okay, so when how do we start this off? Because it's how about this? Picture this: your savings are gone, the stores are empty, and chaos erupts in your streets. An economic collapse isn't just a rough patch, guys. It's a disaster where jobs vanish. I'm going to move this over here real quick. And we're going to open the chat over here. There we go. Cutfee says, I won the radio. Anywho, it's a disaster where jobs vanish, crime explodes, and life unravels. It happens in places like Venezuela and Argentina, and it can happen anywhere, even here in America. Now, today we're going to cover, I've got a list of 12 things that we can expect if the economy does decide to collapse, and how to prepare for them. And if you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so now, because it really does help the channel. I'm going to click a couple of buttons over here and see if I can't simplify my life just a little bit. Control A, copy, and paste. And then we're going to come on up here to the top. There we go. All right. So with all that said, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick. I do not have a poll question for you today because this was not supposed to be going down like this, but it is. It's happening just like this. So it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and switch this to, yeah, there we go. Okay. So with that said, guys, oh, there, something weird, really weird just happened. Am I still here? Because all of my screens just went blank and came right back. Very odd stuff. Someone let me know. I'm not sure if I'm still here. Somebody let me know in the chat. It's probably about a 15 second delay is what I'm thinking. Because the chat is going dead, and it says that I'm still live, but like I said, I'm still here. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. Yeah, like every screen, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screens running right now, and they all went like black, and then everything came back. It's very weird. Very weird. All right, so let's look at let's kind of look at the things in context, and also things and the stakes that could be an issue, the stakes. So with that said, how do we get deep into this? Well, we're not talking about a stock market dip or a mild recession. An economic collapse means unemployment at 30 to 50%. Broken supply chains, families struggling to eat. If we look at Venezuela, people ate dogs to survive. Or Argentina, where money became worthless overnight. And could it happen in the United States? Well, with 37 million in debt, rising prices, and fragile systems vulnerable to cyber attacks, the risk is quite real. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down what you would face and how to be ready for it. Let's see here. Bamsey, don't recognize you at all. Make sure that you hit subscribe on the button, or hit the subscribe button. Best sword for when you run out of ammo. I gotcha. I gotcha. Oh, you're asking what the best sword is? I would say the kind that doesn't bend. The best sword. All right. If you've thought about having a sword for the apocalypse, and this is not what we're talking about anyway, put a 1 in the chat. And I'm not talking about a machete. I'm talking about a sword. Okay. One-headed, two-headed. Sorry, Bamsy, but it's kind of a goofy question. It's kind of a goofy question. Anyway, still love you. So I guess the first thing that we can look forward to is the banks closing. Now, when we start to talk about the banks closing, the banks will shutter their doors, and they do this when panic hits, and everyone is going to rush to withdraw the cash. We saw this in Greece. But banks don't have enough on hand. In fact, legally, they're only required to have about 20% of whatever their local, they're only required to have like 20% of in a specific bank based on the locality for the people who live in that region. It's very minute amount of money that they're required to keep in the bank. Now, in Argentina's 2001 collapse, people were locked out of their savings. And this sparked not only panic, but crime. The Lamb's Light, good to see you. Good to see you. So I guess I could throw a little prepper tip at you. You obviously want to keep some cash at home in small denominations and diversify with assets like precious metals to hedge against these bank failures. We've got to realize it's like if you trust the bank, put a 1 in the chat. I dare you. It's kind of like thinking about a sword. But anywho, so if I look at the chat here, looks like we've got the Lamb's Light showed up. The sword that's 2 inches longer than your opponent's. That's about right. That's about right. That's about right. I would prefer bows with arrows over bolts. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I hate to say it, but bows do outperform crossbows. Crossbows can be a real pain in the butt to reload, and although they do pack more power short range, long range, the bow has it. Bows are actually quite powerful at range. And he says Hattori Hanzo's sword would be the best sword for an apocalypse. Don't forget the yellow. Don't forget the yellow with the black racing stripe jumpsuit. You need a onesie if you're going to fight with a sword, especially a Hattori Hanzo sword. West Virginia Pappy's in the house. Good to see you, man. A battle axe, not the kind you marry. Very true. But you know what? If you have that too, you could that could be a weapon. That could be a very useful weapon. Ian says, did anyone hear the DOJ listed a cartel out of Venezuela as an international terrorist organization with Nicolas Maduro as the head of operation? No, I hadn't heard that. I do know that we do that from time to time, and I knew that they had been listing some of the narco cartels as terrorist organizations. That way, they could authorize military action against them. And so, will that happen? Not sure, but it's more like they don't want that to happen. And so they might just try to figure out how to be good drug lords, Sometimes it's not about killing your enemy, but controlling your enemy. And yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. Let's see here. Spadoni wins Katana 99%. Okay. Someone likes swords. But it is what it is. All right. So the next thing that we can basically count on seeing are people rioting in the streets. It's probably something that's going to happen at some point. People have a tendency to lose their minds, especially in today's age where, we live in an age of instantaneous satisfaction and, it's not anger. It's just like uncontrolled child rage that some of these grown adults are exhibiting. So thinking about it, it's riots break out. You know, desperate and angry people, they're going to hit the streets, and riots can turn deadly with looting and violence. Now, Argentina saw this in 2001. If you're caught in one, you could be trampled or mistaken for a rioter. You know, a quick prep tip is maybe you want to avoid crowds, no escape routes, and stay indoors during unrest. It's kind of smart. You know, you kind of want to. Another prep tip: know your escape routes. Know how to get the hell out of there. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. We're gonna go to the chat here real quick. Keep your sword. I wouldn't want to fight you. Just keep your space, and I'll keep mine. There you go. Well, I don't know if you guys saw the video that came out today about the. So yesterday there was some angry person, white guy, decided he wanted to go on a stabbing spree in a Walmart. I think it was in Tennessee. I'm not sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, or tell me I'm right. I love to be told I'm right. They initially didn't really report much on it. Then there were some reports that like, oh, well, if it was a white guy, you'd have told us his name already, you know? But that didn't age well. That comment didn't age well, since he really was a cracker. He's just got a criminal record, and there's clearly something wrong there, or he did it for whatever reasons. But in the end, he was slowed down, subdued by 4 or 5 other people, and one of them just happened to have a pew pew and made him give up his knife. So good guy win, bad guy 0. All right, so anytime they say it doesn't matter, it does matter. So, well, maybe he didn't know he was bringing a knife to a gunfight. Maybe he didn't know. All right, let's see here. Repent, Jesus is coming. Jesus has already been here. He's walking among us right now. The sword. Cuckfee says it was around 120 miles north of me in Traverse City in the People's Republic of Michigan. Oh, okay. I thought it was in Tennessee. Cool. Walmart, black guy in Michigan. He wasn't a black guy. Let's see. Guy with the handgun was mighty close to the knife. Yeah, he did. He was kind of stupid, but I think he was just trying to intimidate him, and it worked. I think it's one of those situations where you had to read the room. You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. West Virginia Pappy says, was it an automatic or a semi-automatic rifle? It was a pistol. It was a pistol. And it was an automatic pistol. Oh, it was a semi-automatic. Oh my God. What's the difference? It was like a Glock or something like that. All the gun commercials, or all the gun companies are like, I wonder what kind of ad. Yeah, we need to get that guy in our commercial. Probably something like that. Okay, so one of the things that people are kind of scared of in these situations is number 3 for the day. Hold on, I just got a paragraph written inside the chat. Rose is saying, the size may only count if you need to help carry them. The size is not always the issue, but they know how to handle themselves and what they are trained on. Let's see here. Off-road Armada. Woohoo! Made another live. Yeah, man. There you go. There you go. Bayonets have shrank significantly since World War I, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next heat, and basically the issue would be interstate trucking would halt. Now, the trucking is going to grind to a halt. Fuel shortages or highway robberies are going to stop supply chains. Stores are going to run out of food in days as the supply chain. Or should I say, as we have seen in the supply chain simulations. And that's right. The government has ran these kind of simulations over the years to see what would happen. You'd be surprised what they do with simulations. So the prepper tip here is to stockpile no less than 30 days of perishable food and learn to grow or forage for backup. I would actually say go for 90. I would actually say go for 90. Yeah, based off of our conversation that we had 2 days ago, you're probably going to need the 90 days, no matter what happens. All right, let's see here. Looking at the chat here, fully West Virginia, fully automatic. You got a fully automatic knife? Let's see here. Oh, okay, my bad. The good guy was black. There you go. You got them all mixed up, man. It's all right. I don't care. I don't care. Let's see. Cuckfee says the fuel shortage would stop most farming operations that have cattle. That's true. That's true. It's very true. All right. So believe it or not, the next thing, I gotta get a sip of something for this. The next thing is that pets would go missing. You know, you kind of have to visualize stray animals, you know, footage of Venezuelan food shortages. They kind of get connected, you know. So your pets could vanish. When food gets scarce, people turn to anything edible. You know, in Venezuela, dogs, cats, even pigeons became meals. It's kind of grim, but it does happen. It does happen. And I guess the prepper tip on that one would be to keep your pet indoors. You know, maybe stock up on pet food and have a plan to protect them if you want to keep them. I know some people have the plan of just like open the door and letting them out because you just can't take care of them. So, but if it's a plan, it's a plan. And that's all that matters. Man, my nose is all itchy. Okay. It's Sunday. I think I've been pushing at this too hard this week, but we'll see what happens. All right, what do we got in the chat here? Cindy Hoffman showed up. There you go. Desperate times. Most of the Lamb's Light said most of what you're talking about happened to us during Helene. 100%. That's how we know what's going to happen because of history. Where are we at here? Off-road Armada says keep your friends close and your pets closer, especially if you like them. Okay, so the next thing is going to be that hospitals are going to become overcrowded. We all know that when there's an emergency of any at any level, that our 911 or our emergency services system gets overloaded, and that's an understatement. So hospitals will get overwhelmed between dirty water, disease, and rising crime. You know, flood emergency. They're going to flood the emergency rooms. You know, in Venezuela, people died waiting for basic care. That's not a joke. And then, you know, my prepper tip for that is learn basic first aid, stock over-the-counter meds, and keep a medical kit ready. Because it's just smart. Okay, and with that said, I'm going to try something. Here we go. All right, guys, looks like we've reached that part in the show where we got to talk about our country. Our country is the greatest country on the planet, and that's just the way it is. So if you love your country, put a 1 in the chat. America. I'm going to drink some more stuff. I'm going to talk some more smack. I'm going to read you some things that could save your life. I'm going to push a few new buttons and see what happens because, yes, we've got to pay the bill. That one and that one, that one and that one. That is none of those are right. None of those are right. Oh man. Wow, that was interesting. That it did not work at all. It didn't work at all. I mean, you saw it. You should have been getting sound from it. but you are not. So now you're going to give me the opportunity to fix it. Add screen video, add auto add screen video to stream. Give me a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. Huh. Very interesting. It's not doing what I want it to do. It's not doing what I want it to do. Give me 1 second because I think it's probably a good idea to fix this. Refuge Medical, solid company. Glad to see you repping him. Definitely 100%. All right. What if we did this? I'm trying to trick the system right now. So much trickery is in that system right now. So much trickery. This is why everybody likes these. I don't know why people just love when I do this stuff. All right, commercials. Refuge Medical. All right, we're going to do this one right here. Open with photos. Not sure why it's doing this. That didn't work at all. That did not work at all. This thing is really freaking out. This is some new software that I'm running with, so I have to apologize. Let me try this. Let me try this. I'm going to go there. Okay, and then slash. I'm literally typing DOS commands right now. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Trying to showing you how to break the stuff. .mp4. .mp4. Okay, there we go. And now if I do this over here, okay, let's try this and try this screen. I understand. Share. Okay. Time to get serious, guys. Come here. What if the medical kit you carry could be trusted to save a life every single time? I'm here to tell you about Refuge Medical, an American company that's redefining what it means to be prepared. Now, Refuge Medical is proudly 100% American, based in Oklahoma. Every single component in the first aid kit and trauma gear, from the tourniquet to the gauze to the trauma shears, is sourced right here in America. No shortcuts, no compromises. When you choose Refuge Medical, you're not just investing in your safety or your loved ones. You're supporting American families and rebuilding American manufacturing, which is kind of important right now. Now, why are Refuge medical kits the best on the planet? Well, it's simple because they're field tested and trusted by professionals and built to exceed military standards. Their BearVac 3.0, for example, has saved over 145 lives and counting. These aren't just supplies, guys. They're precision tools designed for real emergencies, crafted with premium American made materials to ensure you are ready when seconds matter the most. And here's what sets Refuge Medical apart: they guarantee their product for life. That's right, forever. If any part of your kit fails, they replace it. No questions asked. But it gets even better. If you use refuge medical gear to save a life, they'll replace those used items for free. That's how much they believe in their mission to empower you to become a lifesaver. So, why settle for less when you can trust the best? Choosing Refuge Medical, American made, unmatched quality, and guaranteed for life. Just smart. Refuge Medical isn't just about gear, it's about giving you the confidence to act when it matters the most. Back to the show. Okay, so what'd you think, guys? Did that finally work out a little bit better? Hopefully it did. Hopefully it did. I really had to do way too much stuff. Like I actually had to like type stuff out in like HTML format to make that work. Absolutely crazy. Yes, Erica. There we go. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's see here. Half the audience is like, "What is DOS?" I got you. YouTube doesn't like the ad competition. Well, oh well, because that just happened. Okay, so we're going to move on to number 6 here, guys. We're going to move on to number 6 here. And if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please do so now. It does help the channel. All right, so number 6. Eh, this might be hard to believe, but it's actually, there's some facts behind it. Terror attacks or terrorist attacks are going to become more frequent. They're going to increase. And the reason is a weakened economy makes a country a target, which is why we've been getting attacked all the time because of our great economy. Over the last 4 years, it was super duper when we all knew it was in the toilet. So, if the U.S. Pulls back globally due to budget cuts, enemies might strike. They might actually like reach out and say, this is the perfect opportunity to come after America. Right now, not so smart. But if we were to have an economic collapse we'll just say a monumentally epic level of economic collapse, that 30 to 50% unemployment, we could very well see terrorist attacks rising. Now, the prepper tip on this one is to stay informed via local news and have a family emergency plan and know safe routes to wherever your shelter is going to be. Looking at the chat there, you guys are just pretty much America this and America that. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, put some stuff in the chat for us to talk about. You might actually get some of these other ones right. Because the next thing is, believe it or not, it's kidnappings. Kidnappings will surge. Now, desperate criminals target anyone they think has money or even sell victims into trafficking. Venezuela saw this during its collapse. If you guys have not figured out, I'm using Venezuela as our model because it's kind of like the worst case scenario. Even when, Rwanda, basically $1 went to $1 million Rwandan dollars overnight, and not in a good way. They didn't see these things, that they're just kind of, their economy just kind of just crapped out. But the prepper tip on this one is to stay aware of your surroundings, avoid predictable routes and reinforce home security with deadbolts and alarms. I have known people who don't like the fact that I lock my door. Well, locks were made because there's bad people in the world, and it's just that bad. Hopefully you guys are doing all of this stuff. Grumpy Acres Farm, good to see you, my friend. I didn't see you over there. Okay, good. All right, yeah, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. So if you're finding this helpful, if you're finding what I'm saying to be helpful, make sure you guys hit that like button. Obviously, you want to share this with your friends because you don't want them to get themselves unalived during an economic collapse. That is for sure. And any comments that you have, put them there in the comments. Grumpy says Argentina circa early 2000s snapshot of future America. It's very plausible. It's very, very, very plausible. Rose says NASA is under the thumb for layoffs. This could seriously hurt exploration or returning staff from outer space. I'm not buying that, returning that staff from outer space. That's no negative Rampart. That's not going to happen. We've got we've got SpaceX. We're done. Returning astronauts from outer space is not a problem. It's only a problem if you want it to be a problem. Grumpy also says locks keep honest people honest and slow down the dishonest ones. That's the truth. That's the truth. Okay, let's see here. Number eight, carjackings. You know, carjackings are going to become more common. Why? Well, because people will just pretty much come after anything they can. Now, you know, carjackings skyrocket. You know, cars are easy targets, or should I say, easier targets than homes with criminals using tricks like throwing bricks at your windshield, trying to get you stopped, trapping you in your vehicle. There's a lot of different ways to get somebody out of their car if you know what you're doing. Now, the prepper tip on that one is to don't stop for obstacles in risky areas. Keep moving. Reinforce your car with window film if possible. If you didn't know this, you can actually buy film for your windows. That's the same stuff that you put on your windows to make them. That doesn't make them ballistic proof, but it ballisticizes them. But you can actually put that on your windshield, and that way nothing will come through it. It'll still break, it'll still crack, but you won't wear it on the inside. Sam Russell showed up. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. Bum, bum, bum. To the shores of Tripoli. All right. So number 9, martial law is enacted. If you think that the economy is going to be going super great and people are going to be running around singing Kumbaya, throwing bricks through windows, bad because their banks are closed and stealing your kids and eating your dogs, and you don't think that martial law will be in effect, well, and let's just face it, there's more of us than there are them. So it depends on where you live as to how effective it'll be. But martial law will take over, you know, to curb chaos. The government may hand power to the military, limiting your rights, you know, posse comitatus, and it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Basically suspending your rights. Now, it might reduce violence, but it also is going to risk permanent power grabs as well. There are some people out there, and I hate to say it, but they're on the left, and they might want to say this is a perfect opportunity to maybe stir up some stuff and maybe start to create some of their own little city kind of socialist ideas and such. You know, I mean, and listen, if the Muslims can create their own police force without guns and the police haven't started arresting them yet for impersonating police officers, what do you think some crazy lefties can do if the economy crashes? There you go. There you go. Let's see here. Ian says the film protects against slow velocity impact. There you go. Let's see. Saul says, hey, Saul, good to see you, man. Our newest member. How does this video only have 2 likes? You may have to refresh. Sometimes the people are just lazy. Here, I'll check it over here on my side. Let's see here. I've got 19 likes. And if you haven't hit the like button yet, you're kind of dumb. You're kind of dumb. It's an educational channel. You're getting educated and you're clearly watching. There's clearly 31 people in here that are watching this. So it's not that they don't like it. Okay, so hold on a second. We've got something over there. Roses popped in. We have observed collapse in Africa multiple times. A friend's father was held captive in Kenya because they thought he was associated with the JFK administration because first name was Kenny or Kenneth. Gotcha. Yeah, there was a little confusion there on. Yeah, it's a shame. It's absolutely a shame. You know, it's right up there with, you know, somebody like Get the Americans, and that's actually happened. I've seen that happen. That's kind of scary. All right, so number 10, one of the biggest fears you should all have is the quality of your water is going to drop. Now, water quality plummets. Cash-strapped governments skim on the treatment. In Argentina, water was so overchlorinated, it was unsafe for kids or pregnant women. Gee, how did that happen? How did that happen? Now, obviously, the prepper tip's going to be pretty simple. Store water. No less than 1 gallon of water per person per day. and you might want to get your hands on a reliable purifier. Link in the description. You know, it's absolutely insane, some of the things that we don't associate with an economic collapse that we should be thinking about. So, and you know how they say, you know, prepare for the big stuff and the little stuff will take care of itself. Well, prepare for the big stuff and you'll be prepared for the big stuff as well. Let's see here. Bradley says, damn, you just called me dumb. Slacker. Okay, dumb. No, sir. But seriously, I hit thumbs up button before you started. I said, if you haven't. I said, if you haven't. And if you have, then you're not dumb and you're not a slacker. You're actually putting out. Yeah, that's what I said. It's, all right. Grumpy says, Tiff, if it gets bad enough, do you think people will applaud martial law and the erosion of freedoms? Ooh, that's a crazy. Bradley says economic collapse means shit stops. Literally. Yeah. 100% right, Bradley. Grumpy, that's an actually, that's a deep question, but it's actually a really good question. So I'm going to read it again. If it gets bad enough, do you think people will applaud martial law and the erosion of freedoms? So I think that at first they will. At first they will. Unfortunately, what normally happens is if the military comes in, or let's even worse, some things that people don't think about. We've seen this in foreign countries, okay, where the country doesn't have an army. And so they'll actually pay paramilitary forces. If you didn't know this, there are very, very large paramilitary organizations out there that will happily come in at the behest of a government to do whatever they need to do what the government wants them to do. Now, let's say the U.S. Army rolls into town and says, we're the government, we're here to help you. They establish roadblocks and they start stopping people from robbing things, and the business owners are happy. And then they start posting guards outside of the food line and start telling you that you can only have so much bread. And maybe they're guarding the water treatment center, and you can only have so much water. And then they start to say, like, hey, listen, man, it's curfew. You're not allowed to be out here. And then they start arresting people. And then the question is, like, where do those people go when they arrest them? Because the jail's not going to be big enough. So you kind of end up in a catch-22 situation. And I think that, unfortunately, at that point, sooner or later, what happens is you just have open rebellion against those military forces. And, because they're going to be isolated from their normal logistics chain. Their chain of command is going to have SATCOM, all that good stuff, right? But that doesn't mean that there's going to be a drone ready to blow things up right over their head all the time. It's the United States. And there's only so many drones, by the way, guys. There's only so many drones. So I think eventually in the beginning, they'll probably be like, hey, the Army's here. Great. We're finally going to get some of this stuff taken care of because the cops couldn't do it. And then when they start like enforcing the rules, and there's Humvees with speakers for positive psyops, and telling you about curfews, and it's all good. You're all feeling warm and fuzzy until one day you can't leave your house. And then you're going to end up with an open revolution right in that particular area. Because I don't think they're dumb enough to try and disarm their American citizens. There's a lot to be said for following orders, but in every situation, where there wasn't some lefty hiding in our government, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines have said, no, we're not disarming Americans. So I don't think that'll be a problem, but that's a great question, Grumpy. Are there enough people to make martial law a nationwide thing? No, not even slightly. Not even slightly. 350 million people against what? A couple million? Let's say 5 million. Yeah, there's not enough. Let's see here. JB the 25th showed up. What's going on, Broseph? And I don't know what Yo2D2 is. Let's see. Rose says there will be robbers, and then those in control may cause other problems, trying to force claiming personal property. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's just such a dicey conversation to have because it's all literally opinionated and speculative. Grumpy says only takes one sheepdog to manage a herd of sheep. That's true. That's true. But we still don't have enough people in the military to effectively use martial law. There's just not enough people. But with that said, depending on how long things go, working for the government may not be a bad thing because there's food and there's water and there's security. And yeah, those are the three main pillars of preparedness, aren't they? So yeah, it might benefit you in a nationwide martial law situation to sign up to be a stormtrooper. You see what I'm saying? Bradley says that reminds me of my wife saying the cars can wait at the crosswalk because pedestrians have the right of way. I say, yeah, sure, but the car doesn't care if it runs you over or not. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. And we're down to number 11, gasoline. Gasoline. It's such a glorious thing to sniff in the morning. But gasoline will get rationed, whether you're in a good situation or a bad situation. It's going to get rationed, and it may just flat out vanish. In Zimbabwe, fuel shortages crippled mobility. Without gas, escaping danger or powering a generator is going to be pretty tough. And I hate to say it, but the prepper tip for that is to store fuel. With stabilizers, and consider a bicycle for your backup transportation. In this day and age, maybe you've got a solar bike, you got a solar scooter of to speak of, and you're driving it every other day, but you're charging it on the off days, that kind of thing. You could use like a solar panel or something like that. But it is what it is. All right, number 12, gang activities will increase. Now, there's a possibility of gang takeover, and it could be a good gang, it could be a bad gang. And generally speaking, in America, if you say the term gang, it's bad, but that doesn't always mean that that's the case. With the police stretched really thin or non-existent, gangs would exploit chaos and fighting for territory. Now, the Venezuelan street gangs became war zones. The Venezuelan streets became war zones. And so I guess the prepper tip for that would be to avoid high risk areas, travel in groups, and consider yourself your self-defense training. Maybe avoid risky areas and learn a little kung fu, or just learn how to use your pew pew effectively. I've seen situations where the effective use of firearms, sometimes without even pulling the trigger, really had an advantage over unskilled, untrained, undisciplined individuals. All right, let's see here. PEMT, where are we at here? Rose says, possibly repairing an older vehicle that could utilize alternative fuel. That's true. Ian says, mechanical diesel engine then can run off used cooking oil. That's true. PAEMT says, if no gas, I'm starting an ambush. I'm starting an Amish Uber. Choice of 1 or 2 power. 2 horsepower, please. Grumpy says, wood gasifier, Mad Max on steroids, goat, turquoise, white horns. There you go. And Sal says the oldest diesel Volvos can be run on many sorts of Volvos. Yes, those old dependable Volvo diesel engines are absolutely amazing. They just sip the diesel too, man. You probably get 400 or 500 miles out of one of those little diesel engines on the tanks that come with them. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. All right, let's see here. The things that we're talking about, they aren't just what ifs. They happened in Argentina, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe. People there thought it can't happen here, but it did. Now, The U.S. is not immune. You know, it's basically, it's got $37 trillion in debt. We've got inflation playing this bounding game where things look great and then they don't. And now we've got this fragile digital system, you know, that they're trying to talk about. You know, a cyber attack or a financial shock could push us over the edge. And preparation is survival. You know, start small, stock food, water, cash, learn skills like first aid and definitely some self-defense, and build a plan with your family, or you might not get a chance to keep one. It's really that easy. It's really that easy. Now, I've got a little call to action for you. Okay. Nope. I think I'm going to end it there. I'm going to end it there because I don't want to go too far into this, because people are like, what caliber do I use? And they start acting some crazy old questions. West Virginia Pappy says moonshiners used to run their products to avoid gas stations. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 100% believable. Okay, guys, we've been going at this for 51 minutes. Unless you throw something relevant in the chat, I'm going to go ahead and call it. While I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm going to take my last sip for the night, maybe. And I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me here. I don't see anything in the chat. I don't see anything in chat. All right, guys. So it's Sunday night. I shall see you guys. The next live will be Thursday. And we'll have a completely different subject then. Hopefully we'll have some people hanging out with us. We'll see what happens. All right, let's see here. Grumpy put something in the chat. Since Gen Xers were kids, 2030-ish has been the go-to date for the U.S. economic collapse. Signs are pointing in that direction. That's true. Bradley says, good night, preppers. Have a good night. And Ian says, thanks for your time, LP. You guys are very welcome. All right, guys, stay safe. Have a good day, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye. I'm going to try and push. This one's got some different buttons to push. All right, let's see here. And I like that one. We'll talk to y'all later. Good night.